Aaron lived a simple life in the city. His days were filled with ordinary routines. He worked in a small repair shop where he fixed radios, computers, and sometimes even old machines that no one else wanted to touch. He was not famous, not rich, and not someone who believed adventure would ever knock at his door. For Aaron, life was safe, quiet, and predictable. One late evening, after closing his shop, Aaron stepped out with his worn-out bag slung over his shoulder. The streets were half empty. Lamps cast long shadows on the road. He walked slowly, enjoying the cool breeze after a long day. But as he turned a corner, he felt something unusual. His instincts whispered that he was not alone. At first, he thought it was only his imagination. He glanced back but saw no one. The road stretched behind him, silent and empty. Shaking his head, he continued walking. Yet the feeling returned, stronger than before. Someone was following him. Aaron's steps quickened. He crossed the road, then turned into another street. He paused beside a shop window and used the glass like a mirror. His heart jumped. A small figure was trailing him, at a steady pace. She was not human. The figure stood no taller than 5 feet. Her silver eyes reflected the streetlight like polished metal. Her skin carried a faint glow, pale but not sickly, as if sunlight had settled into her veins. She wore clothes Aaron had never seen before. The fabric shimmered like flowing water, and patterns on it shifted as she moved. Aaron froze. His first thought was that this must be some strange costume or a trick, but the girl's presence felt real, solid, and completely out of place. "Why are you following me?" Aaron called, trying to sound braver than he felt. The girl stopped. Her voice was soft, yet it carried confidence. "I am Nira. I am here to guard you." Aaron blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. "Guard me? From what?" Nira stepped closer. Her movements were graceful, almost too smooth for human eyes. She tilted her head, studying him as if confirming something. "You are Aaron, son of Earth. My duty is to keep you safe." Aaron let out a nervous laugh. "You must be joking. I am just a repairman. Nobody needs a guard for fixing broken radios." Nira shook her head firmly. "You are more important than you know. I will not leave your side." Aaron rubbed his forehead. This had to be a prank. Maybe someone was filming him for a strange video show. But when he looked around, no cameras or people were in sight. Only the silver-eyed girl stood in front of him, calm and certain. "Listen," Aaron said slowly. "You cannot just follow me home. I don't even know who you are." "I told you," Nira replied, her voice steady. "I am your bodyguard. Whether you know me or not, I know my mission." Aaron sighed. He tried walking away, hoping she would stop. But to his surprise, Nira followed at the same quiet pace. Every time he turned, she was right behind him. Not too close, not too far, always within reach. At one point, Aaron stopped near a streetlight and turned sharply. "This is not funny. Why me? Out of all the people in the world, why are you following me?" Nira met his gaze. For a brief moment, her silver eyes seemed filled with unspoken history. "Because you are human. That is enough reason." Aaron had no idea what she meant. The words sounded serious, yet he could not understand them. He rubbed his arms, trying to shake off the unease. Finally, he decided to head home. If she followed, he would figure out what to do later. When Aaron reached his apartment, he quickly unlocked the door and slipped inside, hoping to shut her out. But before he could close the door, Nira stepped across the threshold, as if it belonged to her too. "Wait," Aaron said, holding up his hands. "You cannot just enter. This is my home." Nira looked at him with complete calm. "Your safety is my home." Aaron was too tired to argue anymore. He dropped his bag on the table and sat down. His heart still raced, but exhaustion pressed heavier. Nira stood quietly near the window, her eyes scanning the outside world as though danger might appear at any moment. Minutes passed. Arun expected her to speak more, but she remained silent, like a statue. The only movement was her shifting eyes, alert and watchful. Arun leaned back in his chair. "This is insane," he muttered to himself. "She cannot really mean it. She must be lost or confused." But a small part of him, the part that remembered the strange feeling earlier, whispered otherwise. He had sensed danger even before seeing her. Could she have sensed it too? As the night deepened, Aaron dozed off in his chair. He woke once, startled, and found Neera still standing guard. Her posture had not changed, her eyes never leaving the shadows outside. She looked as though she needed no rest, no food, no break. When dawn painted the sky in soft light, Arun rubbed his tired eyes and looked again. Neera was still there, quiet and unmoving. Arun sighed deeply. His life had been simple until yesterday. Now a silver-eyed alien girl claimed to be his bodyguard. He wanted to believe it was all a mistake, but his gut told him something larger was beginning. For now, he told himself he would play along, at least until he understood who she was and why she thought he needed protection. But one thing was certain. His peaceful, ordinary life had just ended. Arun hoped that when morning came, the strange girl would be gone. He thought maybe she would disappear as mysteriously as she appeared. But when he opened his door to leave for work, Neera was already outside, standing like a soldier waiting for orders. Her silver eyes watched the street. The moment Arun stepped out, she turned toward him. "Good morning. I will walk with you." Arun groaned. "Please don't start this again. You can't just follow me everywhere. People will think I've lost my mind." Neera shook her head. "I do not care what people think. My mission is to protect you. I will stay close." Arun tried walking. Fast, but she matched his pace. He slowed down, but she slowed as well. No matter what he did, she remained a few steps behind him. Passers-by gave curious glances. Some smiled as if amused, while others frowned, whispering under their breath. Arun felt heat rise to his face. When he reached his shop, he turned to her. "Look, you can't come inside. This is where I work. Customers will not understand." Neera simply followed him in. "Then I will guard you from inside." Aaron rubbed his forehead in frustration. She stood in the corner of the shop, eyes scanning the room like she expected an attack at any second. The first customer of the day, an old man with a broken radio, entered and stared at Neera. "Arun, who is this girl?" Arun forced a smile. "She is a relative, just visiting." The old man raised an eyebrow but said nothing more. Arun worked quickly, feeling Neera's watchful eyes on him the whole time. The silence between them grew heavy. By midday, Arun could not take it anymore. "Listen, Neera. You say you are my bodyguard, but I don't need one. I am just a simple repairman. Nobody is trying to hurt me." Neera looked at him seriously. "You believe you are safe because you do not see the danger, but danger sees you." Her words sent a strange chill down his spine, though he tried to laugh it off. "That sounds dramatic. This is Earth, not some battlefield." Neera tilted her head. "Every place can be a battlefield when unseen eyes are watching." Arun had no answer. He shook his head and went back to work. The day dragged on, filled with uneasy stares from customers and awkward silence from his new shadow. When evening arrived, Arun closed the shop and hoped Neera would finally leave. But as he stepped out, she was there beside him, walking home as if it was her duty. On the way, Arun tried again. "Why me? Out of millions of people, why would anyone want to hurt me?" "Because you are human," Neera said simply. "That doesn't explain anything." She met his eyes, calm and steady. "One day it will." Arun sighed. No matter how much he argued, she would not budge. The following days became even more strange. At the market, when Arun tried to buy vegetables, Neera stood beside him, scanning everyone with sharp eyes. Vendors stared, some whispered. Children pointed at her clothes, which shimmered in the sunlight. At the park where Arun liked to sit. On weekends, she followed and stood watch. People laughed at the sight of him with his silent, silver-eyed friend. Arun felt embarrassed but powerless to stop her. At work, customers kept asking questions. Is she your sister? Is she your wife? Is she a guard from the government? Arun gave different excuses each time, but his patience was thinning. One night he finally snapped. After dinner he turned to her. Neera, I can't live like this. You follow me everywhere. I can't breathe. I can't think. I don't need protection. Please, just go back to wherever you came from. For the first time, Neera's expression softened. She looked almost sad. You think I choose this, but I was sent. My life is tied to yours. If I fail, I will not return home. Arun stared at her, shocked. You mean, if something happens to me, you will also... Neera nodded quietly. Yes, my fate is bound to yours. That is why I cannot leave. Arun felt guilt creep into his chest. He had seen her only as an annoyance, but she was carrying a burden he did not understand. She was not just following orders. She was risking her own life by staying near him. Still, he shook his head. But I am nothing special. Why would anyone connect your life to mine? Neera's eyes glimmered with something unspoken. Because your kind matters more than you know. One day others will see it. Until then, I must protect you. Arun fell silent. He wanted to argue again, but the seriousness in her voice held him back. Instead, he sighed and leaned back in his chair. The night passed slowly. Arun pretended to read, but his mind was restless. Every sound outside made him uneasy, as though her words had awakened something inside him. Near midnight, when he finally went to bed, Neera did not sleep. She remained near the window, watching the darkness beyond. Arun turned on his side, staring at her silhouette. For the first time, he wondered if maybe she was right. Maybe something out there really was watching him. Maybe she was the only reason he had not noticed it before. The thought unsettled him, but another feeling crept in too. Comfort. As strange as she was, her presence made the shadows seem less threatening. When morning light touched the room again, Neera was still there, as watchful as ever. Arun sat up and sighed. You are not going to leave me alone, are you? Neera shook her head softly. No, not until you are safe. Arun laughed weakly. I guess I will have to get used to having a bodyguard then. Her silver eyes warmed, for the first time. Yes, you will. Though his words were meant as a joke, deep down Arun knew life would never return to the way it was. Arun had started to grow used to Neera's presence, though he still felt awkward walking with her everywhere. People stared, some laughed, and others whispered behind his back, but there was no way to stop her. She was like his shadow, quiet and determined. Still, in his heart, Arun believed she was mistaken. He thought there was no real danger, only her imagination or some misunderstanding from her world. But everything changed one night when proof arrived with sharp edges and bright sparks. It was late, and Arun had closed his shop. The streets were empty except for the occasional sound of a car far away. He carried his bag and walked beside Neera, who as always scanned the surroundings with alert eyes. Arun was thinking about dinner when a faint buzzing sound reached his ears. At first he thought it was just an insect, but the sound grew louder, sharper, almost mechanical. He stopped walking. Neera's eyes narrowed, and her hand moved to the small glowing staff she carried on her back. Keep walking, she whispered. Her voice was calm, but firm. Aaron swallowed nervously. What is it? Before Nira could answer, something shot out of the shadows above. A metallic drone, no bigger than a suitcase, descended quickly. Its body was dark and smooth, its surface glowing with red lines. From its front extended thin blades that spun, in circles. The buzzing filled the street as the drone aimed straight at Aaron. He froze. His legs refused to move. He had never seen anything like it before. The machine looked alive, like a predator hunting its prey. In that instant, Nira jumped forward. Her staff lit up with a blue light, humming with strange energy. The drone swung. Its blades, but Nira dodged with inhuman speed. She struck once, the staff hitting the drone with a burst of light. Sparks flew, but the machine spun back into the air, unharmed. "Aaron, move!" Nira shouted. Aaron stumbled backward, his heart pounding. The drone turned toward him again, blades spinning faster. It shot forward with deadly speed. Aaron ducked, just as Nira leaped in front of him, blocking the strike with her glowing staff. Metal clashed against energy, and the air shook with the sound. Aaron could only watch in shock. Nira moved like water, each step precise, each strike graceful. She was smaller than the drone, yet she pushed it back with sheer speed and skill. The machine whirled and released a beam of red light. Nira spun aside, the beam cutting into the wall behind them. Stone and dust exploded into the air. Aaron coughed, his hands trembling as he crawled behind a parked car. Nira swung her staff again, striking the drone's side. This time, the blow landed hard. A crack appeared on the machine's shell. It screeched, a sound that was neither mechanical nor natural, and turned violently, charging once more. Aaron screamed as the drone rushed toward him, but before it could reach, Nira leaped high into the air. She came down with all her strength, smashing the staff into the drone's core. The machine sparked wildly, its red glow flickering like a dying flame. With a final screech, it crashed to the ground, smoking and broken. The street fell silent. Aaron's chest heaved as he crawled out from behind the car. He stared at the smoking wreck, unable to believe what had just happened. His legs felt weak, his hands shaking. He turned to Nira, who stood calmly, her staff still glowing faintly. "That was real," Arun whispered. Nira nodded. "Yes, that is why I am here." Arun swallowed hard, his mind racing. But what was it? Where did it come from? "An enemy," Nira said simply. "Not the last one, only the beginning." Aaron felt the weight of her words press down on him. He had always thought she was imagining things, that her fears were empty. But now the evidence lay broken in front of him, smoking on the street. Something out there truly wanted him dead. They dragged the remains of the drone into an alley before anyone could see. Nira examined the parts carefully. Her silver eyes glowed faintly as she touched the broken circuits. "It is as I thought. A hunter drone from beyond your world. It was sent to test you, to measure your strength. More will follow." Aaron could hardly breathe. "But why me? I'm not important. I'm just me." Nira looked at him with quiet seriousness. "You are human. That is enough. To them, that makes you a target." Aaron shook his head. His mind refused to accept it. He had fixed radios his whole life, not fought alien machines. Yet the truth lay right there, undeniable. He thought of all the times he had dismissed Nira's warnings. Now he realized she had been right all along. They returned to his apartment in silence. Aaron kept, glancing over his shoulder, expecting another drone to appear from the sky. Nira walked beside him, calm and steady, as though this danger was normal to her. When they reached his home, Arun dropped into a chair, burying his face in his hands. "I don't understand. Why Earth? Why me? Why any of this? Nira placed her staff gently against the wall and sat across from him. Because your kind has a future the others fear. Humans rise from small beginnings, but their will is strong. Many do not want to see that future. You may not believe it now, but you are part of something greater. Aaron looked up, his face pale. And you? Why risk your life for me? Nira's eyes softened. Because I was chosen. To guard even one human is to guard the hope of many. For a long moment, neither spoke. The night outside was quiet again, but Aaron's heart still pounded with the memory of spinning blades and glowing red light. Finally, Aaron whispered, I thought you were just a problem in my life, but you saved me. I owe you. Nira shook her head gently. You owe me nothing. Only live. That is enough. Aaron leaned back, staring at the ceiling. He knew sleep would not come easily tonight. His world had changed in the blink of an eye. Danger was no longer a distant story. It was here, on his streets, chasing him through the shadows. For the first time in his life, Aaron felt truly unsafe. And yet, sitting across from him, Nira was a reminder that he was not alone. Aaron could not sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the red glow of the drone's blades and the sparks flying when Nira struck it down. His world, once quiet and ordinary, had become strange and frightening. He sat near the window, staring at the stars above. They had always seemed so far away, unreachable, like tiny lights on a painted ceiling. Now he knew that something out there was watching him, sending machines to test him, to hunt him. The stars no longer looked peaceful. They looked like eyes. Nira stood by the door, silent as always, her silver eyes scanning the dark streets outside. Aaron finally turned to her. You have to tell me the truth. No more half answers. Who sent that drone? And why me? Nira walked to the table and sat down across from him. Her voice was calm but serious. I will tell you now, because you have seen what hunts you. You cannot live in ignorance anymore. Aaron leaned forward, his hands clasped tightly. Nira began. Long before your kind built machines, long before you dreamed of reaching the high stars, many worlds were already connected. Great powers rose and fell. Among them were those who looked to the future and saw your world, your people. They saw something dangerous in humans, something rare. Aaron frowned. Dangerous? We are still learning how to send small rockets into space. How can we be dangerous to anyone out there? Nira's eyes glowed faintly. It is not about what you are now. It is about what you will become. Humans adapt faster than most. You are stubborn, creative, and willing to fight even when hope is small. These qualities are feared by many who rule the stars. They believe that if Earth grows free, it will challenge them. Aaron shook his head slowly. So they send machines to kill me? But why me? Out of billions? Because you were seen, Nira replied. Your face, your life, your path was chosen as a point of attack. To strike at one human is to send a warning. If they succeed, they prove that humans can be broken. If they fail, they will send more. You are not alone in being a target. But tonight, you were the one they hunted. Aaron's stomach tightened. He had always believed he was ordinary, invisible in the vast crowd of the city, but now he was being hunted by enemies he had never met. He whispered, And you? Who are you really? Nira looked at him with steady eyes. I come from a world called Sarai. We are not the strongest, not the largest, but we have seen what others fear. My people believe that humans are not to be destroyed, but to be guarded. We see your future as a hope, not a threat. That is why I am here. I was chosen to watch over you. Aaron leaned back in his chair, stunned. So you're saying I'm important? That Earth is important? Yes, Nira said simply. More important than you realize. For a long moment, silence filled the room. Arun's mind raced with questions. If what she said was true, then Earth was not as alone as it believed. Other worlds knew about humans, judged them, feared them. And someone had decided he, of all people, was worth attacking. Finally, he asked, "But what do? I am no fighter. I fix broken wires, not broken enemies. How can I stand against things like that drone?" Nira studied him carefully. "You do not stand alone. That is why I am here. But you must also learn. Danger will come again, and I cannot always fight in your place. You must be ready to fight for yourself." Arun blinked at her. "You mean training?" Nira nodded. "Yes, you must learn to survive, to think quickly, to use what is around you. Your strength is not in power, but in creativity. That is why humans are feared." Aaron gave a weak laugh. "I don't feel feared. I feel terrified." Nira's lips curved slightly, the closest thing to a smile he had seen from her. "Fear is not weakness. Fear can sharpen you if you let it." Arun rubbed his face. The idea of training, of preparing to fight alien machines, sounded impossible. But then he remembered the drone's red beam cutting through stone. He remembered the sparks, the smell of smoke. If Nira had not been there, he would have died. He could not keep pretending life was safe. He looked at her again. "All right. Teach me." Nira's eyes softened with approval. "Good. Tomorrow we begin." That night, Arun barely slept. His thoughts twisted with fear and curiosity. He wondered how many more machines would come, how many unseen enemies were out there. He wondered why his quiet life had been chosen for such a storm. But deep down, another feeling stirred. A strange, stubborn spark. If what Nira said was true, if humans really did matter in the eyes of the universe, then he could not run from it. Morning arrived with pale sunlight. Arun stepped outside with Nira at his side. For the first time, instead of feeling annoyed at her presence, he felt grateful. She was the only one standing between him and the unknown. On the way to the shop, he glanced at her and asked, "Do your people really believe humans have a future?" "Yes," she answered without hesitation. "We have seen it. Even when others laugh, even when they doubt, we see the fire inside your kind." Aaron did not know if he believed it yet, but as he walked through the streets, he no longer felt completely ordinary. He felt watched, yes, but also chosen in some strange way. When the day ended and they returned home, Nira cleared a space in his living room. She placed her staff on the ground and stood tall. "Your training begins now," she said. Arun laughed, nervously. "Here? In my apartment?" "Here," Nira replied. "You do not need open fields or shining weapons. You need awareness. You need to use what you have." Arun hesitated, then nodded. If the universe thought he was important enough to send enemies, then he had no choice but to prepare. As Nira showed him the first steps, how to move, how to focus, how to turn fear into action, Arun realized his life was no longer his own. He had entered a larger world, and there was no turning back. The truth was clear now. Humanity was not alone, and neither was he. Arun's small apartment became a place of unusual lessons. Where he once kept his tools and spare parts scattered on the floor, now there was space cleared for movement. Nira wasted no time. The moment dinner was done, she stood in the center of the room and said, "Your training begins now." Arun scratched his head nervously. "I've never been in a fight before. I don't even like fights. Are you sure this is necessary?" Nira's silver eyes did not waver. "It is necessary. You must learn to survive. If I fall, you must be able to stand." Her words chilled him. He did not want to imagine her falling, But he knew she was right. The drone had proven that danger was real. Fine, Aaron muttered, rolling his shoulders. But don't expect me to be good at this. Neera raised her staff and tapped it lightly against the floor. We begin with awareness. You must see the world differently, not just what is in front of you, but what can be used around you. Show me what in this room could be a weapon. Arun looked around. His eyes fell on a screwdriver. This? Yes, Neera nodded. Sharp, close range. What else? He picked up a heavy wrench. This could hurt someone if I swing it. Good. Tools can be weapons when needed. Now move with them. Pretend you face an enemy. How will you stand? Aaron awkwardly raised the wrench and screwdriver, shifting his feet. Neera circled him like a teacher. Too stiff. You must move like water. Fear makes the body freeze. Do not let fear chain you. She reached out and gently adjusted his arms, showing him how to balance weight, how to keep his feet ready. Then she struck suddenly with the flat side of her staff. Arun barely blocked, the wrench shaking in his grip. Too slow, she said. Calmly, Arun gritted his teeth. You didn't warn me! The enemy will not warn you either. And so the training went on. Each night, Neera tested him. At first, Arun tripped over furniture, dropped tools, and stumbled whenever she attacked. He grew frustrated quickly. I can't do this! I'm not like you! I'm just a man who fixes radios! But Neera's voice was steady. You are human. That is enough. Try again. Slowly, something changed. Arun began to move more smoothly. His arms stopped shaking. He learned how to duck under her strikes, how to twist his body to avoid being hit. He was no match for her. Speed, but his reactions grew sharper each day. One night, after hours of practice, Arun finally managed to disarm her. With a quick twist, he knocked her staff from her hand, sending it rolling across the floor. His chest heaved with effort, sweat dripping from his forehead. I did it, he gasped in surprise. Neera bent to pick up her staff, and for the first time since he met her, she smiled fully. It was faint, but real. Yes, you did it. Remember this feeling. Your strength grows. Arun felt a spark of pride. It was small, but it mattered. Outside training, their bond also grew. At the market, Neera no longer looked like a stranger to him. He found himself introducing her as his friend instead of a visitor. When people stared, he no longer felt embarrassed. One afternoon, while walking together, Arun asked, Do you ever get tired of guarding me? Don't you miss your world? Neera looked at the sky with quiet eyes. Yes, I miss it, but my mission is here now. I do not see it as a burden. I see it as purpose. Arun nodded slowly. He had once thought of her as a problem in his life. Now he realized she carried far more weight than he ever imagined. At night, they sometimes sat near the window, watching the stars. Aaron would ask questions about her home. She described tall crystal towers, glowing rivers, and skies filled with 2 suns. Her words painted pictures that Arun could barely imagine. You sound like you belong to a story, Arun said once. Perhaps, Neera replied softly. But so do you. You just do not see it yet. Their conversations made the nights less heavy. Arun no longer felt so afraid of the silence outside. As days passed, his training grew harder. Neera began teaching him how to think in battle, not just move. She would set small challenges, like finding 3 ways to defend himself with objects in a room or escaping when cornered. One evening, she blindfolded him and said, Use your ears, not your eyes. Arun stumbled at first, swinging wildly as she struck him lightly with the staff. But slowly he learned to listen to the sound of her steps, the shift of air before her attack. He began to sense her movements before they landed. When he finally blocked one of her strikes without sight, Neera nodded. Good. You are learning. Arun grinned despite his bruises. I might actually survive this after all. Nira's gaze softened. Yes, you might. Their bond grew not only through training, but also through small acts. When Arun cooked, he would make enough for both, and Nira, though unfamiliar with his food, always ate without complaint. When Nira polished her staff, Arun sometimes offered to help, carefully holding the strange glowing weapon. He even taught her small human things. Once, he handed her a radio he had fixed. "This plays music. Try it." She listened quietly, her head tilted as gentle sounds filled the room. "Strange," she said after a while, "but beautiful." For Aaron, seeing her listen with calm eyes felt like a gift, yet beneath all this, a shadow still lingered. Aaron knew the drones would come again. Nira never hid the truth. Their peace was only temporary, but the difference was clear now. Aaron no longer felt helpless. He was not ready to fight alone, but he was no longer the man who froze at the sight of danger. One night, as they finished training, Arun sat on the floor, breathing heavily. Nira stood over him, silent for a moment. Then she said, "I once thought humans were only fragile, but you are proving me wrong. You are learning faster than I expected." Arun looked up at her, smiling faintly. "Maybe I had a good teacher." Her silver eyes softened. "Maybe." For the first time, Arun felt not just like a student, but like a partner. The distance between them was smaller now. They were not just guardian and human. They were two beings walking into the unknown together. The sun had set, painting the city in shades of orange and purple. Arun and Nira walked down a quiet street, their steps careful but calm. It had been a few days since the drone incident. Arun had trained hard, learning to move faster, think sharper, and anticipate danger. He still had a long way to go, but he felt more confident than ever before. Nira, as usual, stayed close. Her silver eyes scanned every shadow, every movement. Arun had come to trust her judgment completely. He glanced at her. "Do you think there will be more?" "Yes," she said quietly. "They will not stop. Not until they are sure you are ready or defeated." Aaron swallowed. The thought was frightening, but he felt ready. At least he hoped he was. As they walked past an abandoned warehouse, the air suddenly shifted. A faint hum, low and mechanical, filled the street. Aaron froze. Nira stiffened, her hand on her staff. "Prepare yourself," she whispered. Without warning, a group of machines emerged from the shadows. Unlike the drone they had fought before, these were larger, faster, and sharper. Their bodies glowed faintly, in red, and their movements were coordinated, like a hunting pack. Arun's heart raced. "How many are there?" he asked, his voice tight. "Too many to count," Nira replied. "Move behind me." Arun did as he was told. His hands shook slightly. As he clutched a nearby metal pipe, the machines advanced, their lights scanning the street, their sensors locking onto them. Aaron realized this was not going to be easy. The first machine lunged. Nira swung her staff with incredible speed, striking it down in a flash of blue light. Sparks flew as it hit the ground. Another lunged at Arun. He remembered Nira's lessons, his instincts, his awareness. He swung the pipe, hitting the machine's side. It staggered, but did not fall. "Keep moving," Nira shouted. "Use your surroundings!" Aaron nodded. He darted behind a parked car, then rolled across the pavement. He grabbed a broken signpost and swung it at a machine coming from behind. The metal hit with a loud clang, and the machine stumbled. Aaron felt a surge of confidence. He could do this. Nira fought beside him, her movements almost too fast to follow. Each time a machine aimed at Arun, she intercepted, striking with her staff. Sparks flew and metal screeched. Arun realized that she had always protected him, not because he was weak, but because the fight was dangerous and fast. A machine managed to sneak past Nira and headed straight for Arun. He braced himself, remembering her words. Fear sharpens you. Use it! He swung the pipe at the machine's legs. It toppled. Aaron jumped back as it tried to rise. He hit it again, this time aiming for a glowing panel on its chest. Sparks exploded, and the machine collapsed. Aaron's heart pounded with adrenaline. Good! Nira shouted, her voice loud over the clanging metal. Keep going! More machines approached. Aaron felt exhausted, but he did not stop. He used everything around him. Trash cans, broken boards, and even a car tire. With each movement, he felt stronger, faster, and more capable. He was no longer the man who froze at the sight of danger. Suddenly, one of the machines lunged at Nira. She blocked it, but it was faster than any before. It struck her side, sending her crashing against the wall. Aaron's eyes widened. Nira! She groaned, but pushed herself up, gripping her staff. Her movements were slower now, and one of the machines circled to attack her again. Aaron knew he had to act. He grabbed a metal rod and ran toward the machine. His hands shook, but he remembered every lesson. He waited until it lunged at Nira, then struck the machine's leg, toppling it. Sparks flew as Aaron struck again, aiming for the same glowing panel he had learned to target. The machine fell, smoking and disabled. Nira blinked in surprise, then a faint smile appeared. Well done, Arun, she said, steadying herself. You saved me. Aaron felt his chest swell with pride. I actually did it, he whispered, disbelief in his voice. But there was no time to celebrate. More machines appeared, moving faster now. Aaron and Nira retreated into the alley. He could see the end of the street, but the machines cut off their escape. Focus on them one at a time, Nira instructed. Do not panic. You have the strength. Aaron took a deep breath and remembered everything she had taught him. Awareness, speed, using objects around him, staying calm. He struck the next machine with precise timing. Sparks flew. He dodged another and swung at its chest. Again, it collapsed. Nira moved beside him faster than ever. Together, they worked in perfect rhythm. Aaron blocked, struck, dodged, and countered. Nira struck with power and skill, protecting him when he faltered. Finally, the last machine lunged at Arun. He remembered her words. Your strength is not in power, but in creativity. He ducked under its attack and used a loose metal pipe to trip it. The machine crashed hard against the pavement, sparks flying. Aaron kicked it toward Nira, who struck it with her staff one final time. Silence fell. Smoke rose from the broken machines. Aaron leaned against a wall, exhausted, breathing heavily. Nira stood nearby, her staff glowing faintly as she scanned for any remaining threats. You did very well, she said softly. I am proud of you. Aaron smiled weakly. I couldn't have done it without you. Nira shook her head. No, you did this. I only guided you. You faced the danger and overcame it. For the first time, Arun truly believed her. He had faced something unimaginable and survived. He had protected her as much as she had protected him. As they walked back to his apartment, the night felt different. The streets were the same, but Arun felt stronger. He knew that danger would come again, but he also knew he was ready to face it. At home, Arun collapsed into a chair, staring at his hands. They were trembling, but he felt alive in a way he had never felt before. Nira sat nearby, quietly watching over him, as she always did. You are no longer just a human who fixes radios, Nira said softly. You are someone who can fight, who can survive, and who can protect. This is only the beginning. Aaron nodded slowly. He realized she was right. His ordinary life had ended, but in its place, something extraordinary had begun. He had learned to fight, to think, and to trust himself. And he had learned to trust Nira completely. The morning sun spilled golden light across the city, turning the streets into a warm, quiet place. Aaron stretched and looked around his apartment. For the first time in days, he felt a sense of calm. The attack was over, and he had survived. More importantly, he had grown stronger. Nira sat on the floor, her staff leaning against her shoulder. Her silver eyes watched him with quiet approval. "You are ready," she said softly. Aaron smiled faintly. "I feel ready, but I never thought I would be ready for something like this. My whole life, I just fixed radios and wires. I never imagined fighting machines from another world." Nira shook her head gently. "Your life prepared you more than you know. Every small skill, every quick thought, every careful action built the foundation. That is why humans are special. You learn fast, adapt quickly, and do not give up." Arun looked out the window, thinking about the streets he had walked just days ago. He had been afraid, lost, and helpless. Now he felt different, stronger, aware, and more certain. He realized that life had changed forever, but he no longer feared it. "You saved me too, Arun," Nira said quietly. "I would have fallen if not for your courage. You have grown beyond what I expected." Arun felt a warm sense of pride. "We saved each other," he said. He noticed the first real smile from Nira in days. It was small but bright, and it made his heart lift. They walked outside together. The city was quiet, as if it had not noticed the battle that had happened hours before. Arun took a deep breath of fresh air. He felt alive, and the streets no longer seemed threatening. "Now what?" Arun asked. "Do we wait for more attacks? Do we hide?" Nira shook her head. "No, hiding is not the way. You must be prepared, yes, but also live. Danger will come, but so will life. You cannot fight everything, Arun. You must choose what is worth protecting." Arun thought about that. He had learned to protect himself, to fight, and to survive. But he had also learned that protection meant more than strength. It meant courage, care, and responsibility. They passed the park where Arun had often walked alone. Children played, people laughed, and the city seemed peaceful. Arun smiled faintly. "I used to walk here and feel invisible. Now I feel chosen." "Strange, isn't it?" "Not strange," Nira replied. "Humans are small in the universe, yet their will is strong. You may not see it yet, but your life matters, Arun. Not just to me, but to many who will watch and guide you." Arun glanced at her, curiosity in his eyes. "You mean other people like you, from your world?" Nira nodded. "Yes, you are not alone. Many see your kind as hope, not threat. They will not interfere unless needed. Your path is yours to choose." Arun considered this. His life had been ordinary, predictable, quiet. Now, it was extraordinary, uncertain, and alive with possibility. Fear still lingered, but it no longer controlled him. He could face it. "Then we keep training?" Arun asked, his tone lighter than before. Nira smiled faintly. "Training continues, but now it is also about understanding. You must know yourself, not just your enemy. Strength without understanding can be dangerous." Arun nodded. He realized she was right. The fight had taught him skill, but life would teach him patience, wisdom, and responsibility. Days turned into weeks. Arun continued training with Nira, learning to move quickly, think strategically, and notice what others could not see. They practiced quietly in empty streets, alleys, and his apartment. Arun's confidence grew with each day, but he also learned to value caution. Outside training, they explored the city together. Arun introduced Nira to his favorite places, small shops, the market, and quiet rooftops with the best views. Nira listened and watched, fascinated by the human world. Arun realized that their bond was more than teacher and student. It was friendship. One evening, as the sun set in shades of orange and pink, Aaron asked, "Do you think there will be peace for a while?" Nira looked at the horizon. Perhaps. But peace is never permanent. What matters is how you live during it. You have the choice to act, to protect, and to grow stronger. Aaron smiled, feeling a quiet determination. I will. I won't hide anymore. I will live and protect what matters. Nira's silver eyes gleamed faintly. Good. That is the path forward. Weeks passed, and life began to feel normal again, though Aaron knew it was only a calm between storms. He had grown from a quiet man into someone ready to face unknown challenges. The city seemed safer, brighter, and full of opportunity. One morning, while preparing for training, Arun looked at Nira and said, "You know, I never thought I would say this, but I am glad you followed me everywhere. I might not be alive without you." Nira tilted her head, her expression calm. "And I am glad you trusted me. That is why we are stronger together." Aaron nodded. He realized that life had given him more than danger. It had given him friendship, courage, and a purpose he never knew existed. From that day on, Aaron no longer feared the shadows. He faced each challenge with awareness and strength. Nira remained by his side, guiding him, protecting him, and growing to trust him as well. Together, they were ready for the future. Whatever the universe sent their way, they would face it. Arun had learned that fear could be transformed into courage, weakness into strength, and ordinary humans could rise to extraordinary challenges. As night fell, they stood on a rooftop overlooking the city. Lights twinkled below, and the stars above shone like distant beacons. Aaron felt hope fill him. He knew life would be difficult, and enemies would come again. But he also knew he was no longer alone, and he was no longer helpless. "You taught me so much," Aaron said quietly, watching the stars. Nira nodded. "And you taught me too. Humans are stronger than I imagined." Aaron smiled. "Then we keep moving forward together." Nira extended her hand. Together, they clasped hands, looking at the city and the universe beyond. For the first time, Arun felt ready to face anything. The unknown was no longer frightening. It was a world full of possibility, and together, the human and the small alien girl would step forward into that world, ready for whatever came next. The night was quiet, the city asleep, and the stars above, watching. Arun knew his ordinary life was gone. What awaited him now was extraordinary. He was ready.